One day after moving into my son's house, my grandson slipped a note under my bedroom door at midnight. "Grandma, go somewhere safe. Now." I found him crying in the hallway, terrified of his own mother. By morning, I'd discovered documents with my forged signature that would have put me in a nursing home and stripped me of everything I owned. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Let me back up and show you exactly how I ended up here, in my son Kevin's guest bedroom on a Sunday night, holding a note that would change everything. Yesterday morning, I'd driven my old Honda across town with the last of my belongings. 25 years in that house on Maple Street. 25 years of memories with Daniel before that heart attack took him in 2000. Now here I was, 67 years old, moving into my son's split level in the suburbs because my roof needed replacing and the plumbing was shot. $60,000 in repairs. On a fixed income. The math didn't work. Lauren had been the one to suggest it back in August. My daughter-in-law, with her perfectly highlighted hair and those smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Mom, Pat, why don't you just move in with us? We have that big guest suite downstairs. You'd have your own bathroom, your own entrance. It would be perfect." Mom, Pat. She'd started calling me that 2 years ago, right after she convinced Kevin to make her a partner in his construction business. The business I'd helped him start with $85,000 from Daniel's life insurance. Not a gift. A loan. I had the paperwork to prove it, tucked safely in my safety deposit box at First National. "I don't want to be a burden," I'd told her that day in August. "You're not a burden. You're family." Lauren had squeezed my hand, her French manicure perfect as always. Besides, Tyler and Sophia would love having Grandma around more. Kevin had nodded eagerly. My boy, 42 years old, still wanting to make everyone happy. "She's right, Mom. The kids barely see you, and with your house needing all that work." So I'd agreed. What else could I do? Watch my savings disappear into that money pit on Maple Street. I'd moved in yesterday afternoon. Kevin and Tyler had helped with the heavy furniture. Lauren had watched from the doorway, directing traffic with her yoga-toned arms crossed. "Not there, Kevin. That blocks the heating vent. Tyler, be careful with that lamp. It looks expensive." Expensive. It was a $30 thing from Target that Daniel and I had bought for our first apartment in 1980. By 6 o'clock, I was unpacked. By 7, I'd eaten a quiet dinner in my new basement suite while the family ate upstairs. By 9, I'd showered and climbed into the unfamiliar guest bed, feeling more alone than I had since Daniel died. And then, at midnight, I heard it. A soft rustling. Paper sliding under my door. I turned on the lamp. A folded piece of notebook paper lay on the carpet. Tyler's handwriting, shaky and urgent. "Grandma, go somewhere safe, now, please, before it's too late. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." My hands were shaking as I opened the door. Tyler sat in the hallway, his back against the wall, face buried in his hands. 17 years old and crying like he was 7 again. "Tyler?" I knelt beside him, ignoring the protest in my knees. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" He looked up, and the fear in his eyes made my blood run cold. "Grandma, I heard them. Mom and Dad. They were talking about you, about papers they need you to sign." His voice cracked. "About a place called Shady Oaks, and about selling your house while you're not able to stop them." The world tilted. "What papers?" "I don't know. But Mom has them in her office, in the filing cabinet. She told Dad you'd sign them tomorrow, that you'd be so grateful to be here that you wouldn't even read them carefully." I stood up, adrenaline flooding my veins. 25 years of widowhood had taught me one thing. Trust your gut. Show me. We crept upstairs. The house was dark. Kevin and Lauren's bedroom door was closed. Tyler led me to the home office, the room that used to be a den before Lauren decided she needed a professional space. The filing cabinet wasn't even locked. I found them in the second drawer. Morrison, Patricia, legal documents, power of attorney, nursing home admission papers for Shady Oaks Memory Care, a property deed transfer for my house on Maple Street, with my signature forged so perfectly that I almost believed I'd signed it myself. And at the bottom, a handwritten note in Lauren's perfect script. Once POA is signed, immediately transfer $400K from her account. Kevin doesn't need to know about gambling debts. This solves everything. I stood there in the dark office, my grandson's frightened breathing beside me, holding evidence of my own son's betrayal. Well, not just my son's, but I'd deal with that later. Right now, I needed to figure out my next move. Because Lauren Morrison had just made the biggest mistake of her life. She'd underestimated a widow who'd survived 25 years alone. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I sat in that basement guest room, staring at the photos of those forged documents on my phone, trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong. Kevin had always been a good boy. A little too eager to please, maybe. A little too willing to see the best in people. But good. Kind. The son Daniel and I had raised to be honest and decent. So when had he turned into someone who'd put his own mother in a nursing home to steal her money? Or had he? I pulled up the note again. Kevin doesn't need to know about gambling debts. Maybe he didn't know the full extent of Lauren's plan. Maybe he just thought they were helping me, protecting me from the burden of that old house. Maybe Lauren had manipulated him the way she'd been manipulating all of us for years. I thought back to 10 years ago, when Kevin first brought Lauren home. She'd been charming, beautiful, attentive, everything a future daughter-in-law should be. Mrs. Morrison, Kevin talks about you all the time, she'd said that first Thanksgiving, helping me with dishes while the men watched football. He says you're the strongest woman he knows. I'd liked her then, trusted her. When had that changed? I pulled out my laptop and started searching. Shady Oaks Memory Care. It was a real place, an hour outside the city. I called their main number, even though it was 3 a.m. Got a recording. Shady Oaks Memory Care provides comprehensive residential services for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. Monthly rates start at $8,000. To schedule a tour, $8,000 a month, $96,000 a year. My $400,000 would last about 4 years. Maybe 5 if they were careful. And then what? I'd be indigent, broke, stuck in whatever state facility would take me. Except I didn't have Alzheimer's. I didn't have dementia. I was 67 years old with a perfectly functional brain. I opened my banking app. $412,862. Daniel's life insurance, minus the $85,000 I'd loaned Kevin, plus 25 years of careful saving and smart investing. My safety net, my security, my independence. Lauren wanted to take it all. I heard footsteps upstairs. 6:30 in the morning. Lauren was an early riser, always up for her morning run before Kevin woke up. I waited, heard the front door close, counted to 100. Then I went upstairs. Kevin was in the kitchen making coffee. He smiled when he saw me, and my heart broke a little. He looked so much like Daniel in the morning light. "Mom, you're up early. How'd you sleep?" "Fine," I lied. "Kevin, I need to ask you something." "Sure. What's up?" "Why do you want me to sign a power of attorney?" He froze, coffee pot in midair. What? Tyler told me, about the papers, about Shady Oaks. Kevin set down the coffee pot very carefully. "Mom, it's not like that." "Then what is it like?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Lauren just thought, with your house falling apart and everything, we thought maybe it would be easier if we could help you manage things. Make decisions if you ever got sick or..." "I'm not sick, Kevin." "I know. But Dad died when he was 64. And you're 67 now. We just want to make sure you're protected." Protected. That was rich. "And the nursing home papers?" His face went pale. "What nursing home papers?" "The admission forms for Shady Oaks, with my forged signature. I don't know what you're talking about." And here was the moment of truth. Did my son know about his wife's plan? Or was he as much a victim as I was? "Kevin, I need you to be honest with me. Did you know Lauren forged my signature on property transfer documents? What? No. Mom, I swear. Did you know she's planning to put me in memory care and sell my house? No. Did you know she has $200,000 in gambling debts? The color drained from his face. That's impossible. Is it? We stared at each other across the kitchen island. My son, my boy, the child I'd raised alone after Daniel died. Mom, I don't understand. What are you saying? I'm saying your wife is trying to steal from me. And I'm saying you either knew about it, or you're even more naive than I thought. The front door opened. Lauren's voice rang out, cheerful and fake. I'm back. Kevin, did you start the coffee? She appeared in the kitchen doorway, yoga pants and sports bra, skin glistening with sweat, looking like she'd just finished a Victoria's Secret photo shoot instead of a morning jog. Her eyes went from Kevin to me and back again. Her smile faltered. Is everything okay? I picked up my phone. Let me ask you something, Lauren. Why do you have power of attorney documents with my forged signature in your filing cabinet? She went very, very still. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because I have photos, time-stamped from 2 hours ago. Lauren looked at Kevin. Kevin looked at me. Mom, can we talk about this later? Lauren just got back from her run and... No, I said. We're talking about it now. Lauren's face hardened. The fake sweetness disappeared like someone had flipped a switch. Fine. You want to talk? Let's talk. That house of yours is falling apart. You can't afford to fix it. You can't afford to live alone anymore. We were trying to help you transition into appropriate care before you ended up like old Mrs. Henderson next door, dead on her kitchen floor for 3 days before anyone found her. By forging my signature? By taking care of paperwork you'd eventually have to deal with anyway. And the gambling debts? Kevin's voice was quiet. Dangerous. Is that paperwork I'd eventually have to deal with too? Lauren's eyes widened. Don't lie to me. Kevin's voice cracked. Just don't lie to me anymore. She took a breath, and another, and then something behind her eyes went cold and calculated. Fine. Yes, I have debts. But they're manageable. And your mother's sitting on $400,000 she doesn't even need. She's going to end up in a nursing home eventually anyway. Why shouldn't that money help our family now? Because it's not yours, I said quietly. Neither is the $85,000 she loaned you 5 years ago, the loan you still haven't paid back. Kevin went pale. You know about that? Of course I know. I know everything, Kevin. I'm your wife. You're a thief, I said. Lauren laughed, actually laughed. Says the woman who's about to move into memory care. Tell me, Pat, do they even let senile old ladies keep their phone privileges at Shady Oaks? Because you're going to need to get used to the idea that... Get out, Kevin said. We both turned to look at him. What? Get out of this house. Now. Lauren's confident mask cracked. Kevin, don't be ridiculous. I'm your wife. We can work through this. Your mother is just confused. She's not confused. She's right. You forged her signature. You planned to steal from her. His voice broke. You used me. You used my trust in you to save our family. We're drowning, Kevin. The business is failing. We're 6 months behind on the mortgage, and Tyler's college fund is empty. Because of your gambling? Because of bad investments and a market crash and... Because of your gambling, I said softly. How much, Lauren? How much have you lost? She looked at me with pure hatred. Enough that your $400,000 would fix everything. Enough that you should be grateful we're willing to take care of you at all instead of letting you rot in that falling apart house. Get out, Kevin said again. No. Lauren, this is my house too. You can't throw me out. I pulled up a document on my phone. Actually, he can. The house is in Kevin's name only. I made sure of that when I loaned him the down payment. I didn't trust you then either. It was a lie, but she didn't need to know that. Lauren looked between us, calculating, scheming. Then she grabbed her car keys from the counter. Fine, I'll go. But this isn't over, Pat. You think you're so smart, but you have no idea what you've just started. She slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Kevin and I stood in the sudden silence. Mom, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I believed him. God help me, I believed him. But believing him didn't fix what Lauren had done. And it didn't fix what I was about to do next. I spent that whole Sunday gathering evidence. While Kevin called his lawyer and started filing separation papers, I made copies of everything. The forged documents, the nursing home papers, screenshots of every relevant text message I could find on Lauren's laptop. She'd left it behind in her rush to leave. Turns out my daughter-in-law was even worse than I'd thought. There were emails to a man named Derek, love notes, intimate photos, plans to meet at hotels, her personal trainer, according to his Instagram profile. 28 years old with abs you could crack eggs on and apparently no moral compass whatsoever. There were bank statements from an account Kevin didn't know about. Withdrawals to something called Lucky Stars Casino. $50,000 in the last 6 months alone. And there were text messages with someone named Sylvia, apparently Lauren's gambling sponsor, discussing strategy to get power of attorney over the old lady's assets. Once you have POA, it's easy, Sylvia had written. My sister did it with her mother-in-law. Transfer everything to a joint account, then withdraw it gradually. By the time anyone notices, you're in the Bahamas. The Bahamas. Lauren had planned to abandon Kevin and the kids with nothing while she ran off with Derek the trainer. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. Tyler found me in the guest suite around 4 that afternoon. I'd been staring at my laptop screen for so long, the words had started to blur. Grandma, Dad said Mom's not coming back. I looked up at my grandson. 17 years old, caught in the middle of his parents' marriage imploding, and it was all my fault for not keeping my mouth shut for just one more day. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Don't be. Tyler sat down on the edge of the bed. She was mean to you. I heard her sometimes, when she thought no one was listening. Calling you names, saying you were just waiting to die so she could have your money. My chest tightened. How long have you known? Since last year. Maybe longer. She stopped trying to hide it after a while. He looked at his hands. I should have told Dad. I should have warned you sooner. But I was scared. Of what? That she'd send me away, or hurt Sophia, or... He trailed off. I pulled my grandson into a hug. He was taller than me now, broader in the shoulders, but he still felt like the little boy who used to climb into my lap during thunderstorms. You did the right thing, I whispered. You told me when it mattered. That's what counts. We sat like that for a long time. Eventually, Tyler pulled back. What are you going to do now? I'm going to make sure your father gets full custody of you and Sophia. And I'm going to make sure Lauren never hurts this family again. How? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm going to let her think she's won, and then I'm going to take everything. By Monday morning, I'd made 3 important phone calls. First, to my friend Gloria, who'd been my neighbor on Maple Street for 20 years, and who knew everyone worth knowing in our small city. Pat, it's 7 a.m. I need a favor. What kind of favor? The kind that requires a private investigator and possibly a federal fraud investigation. There was a long pause. What did that daughter-in-law of yours do? How did you know it was Lauren? Because you're calling at 7 a.m. asking about fraud investigators. What else could it be? I laughed. It felt good to laugh. Can you help? I know a guy, former FBI. He owes me a favor from when I found out his wife was cheating. Give me an hour. Second call. Richard Hayes, a lawyer Daniel and I had used back in 2010 for estate planning. He'd be 80 by now, but his daughter had taken over the practice and I figured she'd be just as good. Mrs. Morrison, how can I help you? I need to file an elder abuse claim and possibly press criminal charges for fraud and forgery. Against whom? My daughter-in-law. I see. Keyboard sounds in the background. Can you come in this afternoon? Say 2 o'clock. I'll be there. Third call. Kevin. Mom, you okay? I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Okay. The $85,000 I loaned you 5 years ago. Do you still have the promissory note? Silence. Kevin? I never signed one. You said it was okay, that we didn't need paperwork because we were family. My heart sank. I had said that. Because he was my son, and I trusted him, and I never thought I'd need proof. But I have the bank transfer records, I said slowly, from my account to yours. $85,000 on March 15th, 2020. Yeah, I remember. Good, because I'm going to need to prove that it was a loan, not a gift. Why? Because when we go to court, Lauren is going to claim that I gave you that money freely, that I'm senile and confused and don't remember signing power of attorney over to her, that I need to be in memory care for my own protection. She wouldn't. She absolutely would. Kevin, your wife tried to forge my signature and steal $400,000. She was planning to put me in a nursing home and disappear to the Bahamas with her personal trainer. You really think she won't lie in court? Kevin's breath caught. Her personal trainer? Derek, 28 years old. Lots of pictures of them together at hotels. I have copies if you want them for your divorce filing. Jesus, Mom. Language. Sorry. He laughed, shaky and broken. How are you so calm about this? Because I've been a widow for 25 years, Kevin. I learned a long time ago that falling apart doesn't fix anything. Acting does. What are we going to do? We are going to protect your children. I am going to make sure Lauren faces consequences for what she's done. And you are going to be the father Tyler and Sophia need right now. I don't know how to do any of that. You'll figure it out. You're a Morrison. We're tough. By 2 o'clock, I was sitting in Richard Hayes' daughter's office, laying out everything I'd found. She listened, made notes, asked pointed questions. You're sure you want to pursue criminal charges? It's going to be ugly. She forged my signature on legal documents. She planned to commit elder abuse and financial fraud. Yes, I'm sure. Okay. More notes. I'll file a restraining order today. No contact with you. No access to your property or financial accounts. I'll also notify the police about the forged documents. They'll probably want to interview you. Fine. And Mrs. Morrison? She looked up, her expression soft. I'm glad you came in. A lot of victims in these situations don't speak up until it's too late. I'm not a victim, I said quietly. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. By Wednesday, the restraining order was in place. By Thursday, a very nice detective named Morrison, no relation, had come to take my statement. By Friday, Lauren had been arrested for attempted fraud and forgery. I watched it on the news that night, sitting in Kevin's living room with Tyler on one side and Sophia on the other. My 14-year-old granddaughter hadn't said much since her mother left. She'd been quiet, withdrawn, spending most of her time in her room. But when she saw Lauren being led out of her lawyer's office in handcuffs, Sophia leaned against my shoulder and whispered, I'm glad you're here, Grandma. Me too, sweetheart. Kevin was at his lawyer's office, filing for emergency custody. With Lauren in jail and no bond posted, turns out running is a flight risk. The judge had granted temporary full custody until the divorce was finalized. But something was still bothering me. The gambling debts, the affair, the forged documents. It all felt too calculated, too planned. Lauren wasn't smart enough to pull this off alone, which meant someone had helped her, and I was going to find out who. The private investigator Gloria recommended was exactly what I'd expected. Former FBI, early 60s, the kind of guy who looked like he'd seen too much and remembered all of it. His name was Marcus Webb. We met at a coffee shop downtown on Saturday morning. Mrs. Morrison, thanks for meeting me. Gloria speaks highly of you. Gloria speaks highly of everyone until they cross her, then she's terrifying. He smiled. It made him look almost human. What can I do for you? I slid him the folder I'd prepared. All the evidence I'd gathered on Lauren. All the questions I couldn't answer. I need to know who helped her plan this. Lauren's not smart enough to create this kind of scheme alone. Someone walked her through it. Someone told her how to forge documents, how to set up hidden accounts, how to avoid detection. Marcus flipped through the folder. His expression never changed. You're right. This is too sophisticated for an amateur. The forged signature is good, not perfect, but good enough to fool most people. The fake nursing home papers used real forms from Shady Oaks. Someone either works there or has connections to someone who does. Can you find out who? For what purpose? Because if someone is helping vulnerable adults' family members commit elder abuse, they need to be stopped before they do this to someone else. He studied me for a long moment. Most people would just want revenge. I'm not most people. No, he agreed. You're not. He closed the folder. I'll need a retainer. $5,000 up front, then hourly after that. Could take a few weeks. I pulled out my checkbook. How soon can you start? Already have. By Tuesday, Marcus had his first lead. A woman named Sylvia Chen, 47 years old, worked as an administrative assistant at Shady Oaks Memory Care. She'd been flagged 3 years ago for suspicious behavior, helping family members navigate the admission process a little too efficiently, making copies of confidential forms. But nothing had been proven. She's careful, Marcus said over the phone, but not careful enough. She's been in contact with 6 different people in the last year, all of them with elderly parents or relatives with substantial assets. All of them with similar patterns: gambling debts, affairs, financial problems. Lauren was one of her clients? Lauren was her most recent client. They met at a casino last year. Sylvia has a system. She finds desperate people, offers them a solution, takes a percentage of what they steal. How much? 20% off the top, plus ongoing payments for keeping quiet. I felt sick. How many people has she done this to? That I've found evidence of? 6. But I'm guessing there are more. What do we do? I'm sending everything to the FBI. Elder fraud is a federal crime. But I wanted to check with you first. Are you willing to testify if this goes to trial? Yes. Good. Because you might be the only victim who caught on before it was too late. The FBI came to the house on Thursday. 2 agents, professional and thorough, asking questions I'd already answered a dozen times. Mrs. Morrison, we appreciate your cooperation. This is going to help us build a case against Ms. Chen and potentially several other conspirators. What happens to Lauren? The female agent glanced at her partner. She's facing felony charges for fraud, forgery, and attempted elder abuse. With the evidence you've provided, she's looking at 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years. My grandchildren's mother in prison. What about the people she was working with? The trainer, Derek? We're investigating him as well. He received substantial gifts from Ms. Morrison. Clothes, electronics, cash. If we can prove he knew about the fraud, he'll face charges for receiving stolen property. After they left, I sat in the quiet guest suite, trying to process everything. Tyler knocked on my door around 6. Grandma, Dad ordered pizza. You want some? Sure, sweetheart. We ate together in the living room. Kevin, Tyler, Sophia, and me. A family, cobbled together from the wreckage Lauren had left behind. Mom, Kevin said quietly, I need to tell you something. I set down my pizza. Okay? The business. It's worse than I thought. Lauren wasn't lying about that part. We're in real trouble. 6 months behind on commercial rent. Suppliers demanding payment. Contracts falling through. He looked at his hands. I'm going to have to shut it down. My heart broke for him. Daniel and I had dreamed of Kevin taking over a business someday, of building something that would last generations. What will you do? I don't know. Find a job somewhere, I guess. Start over. He laughed bitterly. I'm 42 years old and I'm starting over. You're not alone, I said. You have the kids. You have me. I can't ask you for more money, Mom. Not after. You're not asking. I'm offering. I pulled out the document I'd prepared with Richard's daughter. This is a business loan. $50,000, 3% interest, 10-year repayment plan. Enough to catch up on rent, pay your suppliers, keep the doors open until you can turn things around. Mom, with conditions. I want quarterly financial statements. I want receipts for every expense. And I want you to go to counseling with the kids, because they're going to need help processing what their mother did. Kevin stared at the document. I can't accept this. Yes, you can. Because this time we're doing it right. With paperwork, with terms, with accountability. I handed him a pen. Sign it, Kevin. Let me help you. He signed it with shaking hands. That night, lying in the guest bed that was starting to feel less like a stranger's room and more like home, I thought about how close I'd come to losing everything. One more day. If Tyler hadn't warned me that first night, Lauren would have had my signature on those documents, would have had power of attorney, would have emptied my accounts before I even knew what was happening. One more day, and I'd be in Shady Oaks right now, wondering how my life had gone so wrong. Instead, I was here, safe, surrounded by family who loved me. And Lauren was in jail, facing federal charges, with a conspirator being investigated by the FBI. Sometimes justice comes slow, but when it comes, it's sweet. 2 weeks after Lauren's arrest, I finally went back to the house on Maple Street. I'd been avoiding it, putting off the inevitable conversation with contractors about the roof and plumbing, but the place couldn't sit empty forever. Gloria met me there with coffee and her usual no-nonsense attitude. You look better than I expected. Did you think I'd be a mess? I thought you'd be angrier. I unlocked the front door. 25 years of memories hit me all at once. Daniel teaching Kevin to ride a bike in the driveway. Christmases with too many cookies. Tyler's first steps right there in the living room. I am angry, I admitted. But anger doesn't fix anything. What does? Action, strategy, making sure it never happens again. We walked through the house together. It looked smaller than I remembered, more worn. The roof did need replacing. The plumbing did need work. Lauren hadn't been lying about that part. But $60,000 in repairs on a house worth $300,000? That was still a good investment. You keeping it? Gloria asked. I don't know. Depends on how things go with Kevin and the kids. You're really staying with them? For now. They need me. And honestly, I looked around the empty house. I don't know if I want to live alone anymore. I thought I did. I thought independence was the most important thing. But maybe family matters more. Gloria hugged me. She wasn't usually a hugger, which made it more meaningful. You're a good mother, Pat. Even when your kid doesn't deserve it. He deserves it. He just married badly. Most men do. We laughed, and it felt good to laugh about something that had nearly destroyed us. I spent the rest of the afternoon sorting through the house, deciding what to keep, what to donate, what to move to Kevin's basement permanently. By the time I finished, I'd filled 6 boxes with essentials and made peace with leaving the rest behind. This house had been my sanctuary after Daniel died, my safety net, my proof that I could survive alone. But I didn't need it anymore. I locked the door behind me and drove back to Kevin's place feeling lighter than I had in years. Tyler was doing homework in the kitchen when I walked in. He looked up and smiled. Grandma, did you get everything from your house? Most of it. I'll probably sell the place once the repairs are done. You're really staying? If you'll have me? Are you kidding? Of course we want you here. He hesitated. Dad's been way less stressed since you moved in. And Sophia actually talks at dinner now instead of just staring at her phone. What about you? How are you doing? Tyler shrugged. Okay, I guess. Weird having Mom in jail. Weirder knowing what she tried to do to you. You saved me, I said softly. That note you slipped under my door. You saved my life, Tyler. I should have told someone sooner. You told me when it mattered. That's what counts. He went back to his homework, but I could see the tension in his shoulders ease a little. Kevin came home around 6, looking exhausted but less defeated than he had 2 weeks ago. How was work? Better. The $50,000 helped. We're caught up on rent. I've started paying suppliers, and I even landed a new contract this afternoon. That's wonderful. It's progress. He grabbed a beer from the fridge. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Why are you being so nice to me? Are you... After everything Lauren did, after I let her manipulate me, after I almost let her steal from you, why are you still helping me? I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He had Daniel's eyes, my stubborn chin, and more gray in his hair than I'd noticed before. Because you're my son. Because I love you. And because everyone makes mistakes, Kevin. The question isn't whether you fall down. It's whether you get back up. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. He hugged me then. And for just a moment, he was my little boy again. The one who'd cried at Daniel's funeral and promised to take care of me. I'm going to pay you back, he whispered. Every cent. The $85,000 from 5 years ago. The $50,000 from last week. All of it. I know you will. That Friday, Marcus called with an update. The FBI arrested Sylvia Chen this morning. They're charging her with conspiracy to commit elder fraud, wire fraud, and about 6 other things. She's looking at 20 years. What about Derek? He's cooperating. Turns out he didn't know about the fraud. He just thought Lauren was a rich woman with bad taste in men. The gifts he received were technically legal, so they're letting him off with a warning. And Lauren? Trial's scheduled for March. Her lawyer's pushing for a plea deal, but the prosecutor isn't budging. With all the evidence you provided, plus Sylvia's arrest, they want to make an example out of her. Good. You sound different than you did 2 weeks ago. How so? Less angry. More. Settled. I thought about that. He was right. I wasn't angry anymore. I was tired, yes. Sad for my grandchildren. Disappointed in my son's judgment. But not angry. I got my life back, I said finally. That's enough. By November, things had settled into a new normal. I'd sold the house on Maple Street, $60,000 for repairs, listed it at $340, sold for $350. The new owners were a young couple with a baby on the way. They reminded me of Daniel and me 35 years ago, just starting out. I used part of the money to pay off Kevin's mortgage. He didn't know. I handled it through Richard's daughter, structured it as an anonymous gift from an estate settlement. He'd find out eventually, probably when he got the notice that the house was paid off, but by then, it would be too late to argue. The rest I split between college funds for Tyler and Sophia, $50,000 each, in trust accounts they couldn't access until they turned 25. And for myself, I kept enough to live comfortably, help Kevin if he needed it, and maybe take the grandkids on a real vacation once all this court nonsense was over. Gloria came over for dinner one night in December. She brought wine and gossip, and her usual sharp observations about everything. You look happy, she said, studying me over her glass. I am happy. Because you won. Because I'm home. She raised her glass. To Pat Morrison, widow, survivor, and the toughest woman I know. We clinked glasses. Later, after Gloria left and the kids were in bed, I sat in the basement guest suite, my suite now, really, and thought about everything that had happened. 6 months ago, I'd been alone in that house on Maple Street, worrying about roof repairs and plumbing and how to stretch my savings far enough. Now I was here, living with my son and grandchildren, helping Kevin rebuild his business, watching Tyler apply to colleges and Sophia slowly come out of her shell. Lauren had tried to take everything from me. Instead, she'd given me back my family. Funny how life works sometimes. March came faster than I expected. Lauren's trial was set to begin on the 15th, what would have been Daniel's 69th birthday. I tried not to read anything into the timing. The prosecution had built an airtight case. Forged documents, bank records, emails with Sylvia Chen outlining the fraud, text messages with Derek showing the affair, and my testimony, clear and detailed and impossible to refute. Lauren's lawyer tried to paint her as a desperate wife trying to help her family. But when the prosecutor brought up the Bahamas bank account Lauren had opened in Derek's name, that defense crumbled pretty fast. Mrs. Morrison, the prosecutor said on day 3 of the trial, can you tell the court how you discovered the forged power of attorney documents? I told them about Tyler's note, about finding the papers in Lauren's filing cabinet. About the moment I realized my own daughter-in-law had planned to steal everything Daniel had left me. And how did that make you feel? Betrayed, scared, angry. I paused. But mostly sad. Sad that someone I'd welcomed into my family, someone I'd trusted, could do something so cruel. Objection, Lauren's lawyer stood. Calls for speculation about my client's character. Overruled, the judge said. The witness is describing her emotional response to the defendant's actions. Continue, Mrs. Morrison. I looked at Lauren then. Really looked at her. She'd lost weight since the arrest. Her expensive highlights had grown out, showing gray at the roots. She looked older, harder. Nothing like the woman who'd smiled at me over Thanksgiving dinner last year. I wanted to believe she cared about us. I said quietly. About Kevin. About the kids. But she didn't. She only cared about the money. And when we weren't useful anymore, she was ready to throw us away. Lauren looked down at the table. She wouldn't meet my eyes. The trial lasted 8 days. On day 9, the jury came back with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Kevin sat beside me in the courtroom, holding my hand so tight my fingers went numb. Tyler and Sophia had stayed home. We'd agreed they didn't need to see their mother sentenced. The defendant will stand, the judge said. Lauren stood. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear. Lauren Morrison, you have been found guilty of conspiracy to commit elder fraud, forgery, and attempted theft. This court takes these crimes very seriously. Vulnerable adults depend on family members to protect them, not exploit them. You violated that trust in the most calculating way possible. The judge paused, looking down at her notes. I'm sentencing you to 7 years in state prison, followed by 5 years of probation. You will be required to pay full restitution to Mrs. Patricia Morrison in the amount of $400,000, plus legal fees. You will also be prohibited from contacting Mrs. Morrison or any member of your immediate family for the duration of your sentence. 7 years. My grandchildren would be 24 and 21 when their mother got out. Lauren started crying. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder, but she shook it off. This is insane, Lauren shouted at the judge. I was trying to help. The old woman's house was falling apart. She couldn't take care of herself. That's enough, the judge said sharply. Bailiff, remove the defendant. As they led Lauren out of the courtroom, she looked back at me one last time. I hope you're happy, Pat. You've destroyed my family. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. The courtroom doors closed behind her. Kevin let out a shaky breath. It's really over. Yeah, I squeezed his hand. It's really over. We walked out of the courthouse into bright March sunshine. Spring in Pennsylvania. Crocuses pushing up through the last of the snow. Trees just starting to bud. Mom, Kevin said as we reached the car. Thank you. For what? For fighting back. For protecting us. For... His voice cracked. For not giving up on me even when I didn't deserve it. You're my son. I'll never give up on you. We drove home in comfortable silence. Tyler and Sophia were waiting when we got back. They'd made dinner, or tried to. The kitchen looked like a disaster zone, but the spaghetti smelled good. How did it go? Tyler asked. 7 years, Kevin said, plus restitution and probation. Sophia's face crumpled. That's so long. I pulled her into a hug. I know, sweetheart, but it's what happens when someone breaks the law. Your mom made bad choices, and now she has to face the consequences. Will she hate us? I don't know, maybe. But that's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. We ate dinner together, the 4 of us, talking about everything except the trial. Tyler had gotten into Penn State. Sophia had made the volleyball team. Kevin's business had landed 3 new contracts. Life, slowly knitting itself back together. That night, lying in my basement suite, I thought about everything that had happened since that midnight note 6 months ago. I'd almost lost everything. My money, my independence, my dignity. Instead, I'd gained something I didn't know I was missing, a real home. Not just a house, but a family that needed me as much as I needed them. Lauren had tried to take everything from me, but in the end, all she'd done was show me what really mattered. And what really mattered was right here, under this roof, in the people I loved. The next morning, Gloria called. I heard about the verdict. 7 years? 7 years. How do you feel? I thought about it. Relieved, sad for the kids, but mostly just, ready to move forward. You're amazing, you know that? I'm a survivor. There's a difference. No, Gloria said softly. You're amazing. Most people would have let this break them. You turned it into a comeback. After we hung up, I walked upstairs. Tyler was making breakfast, real breakfast this time, eggs and bacon and toast. Kevin was reading the paper. Sophia was on her phone, but she looked up and smiled when she saw me. Morning, Grandma. Morning, sweetheart. This was what mattered. Not the money Lauren had tried to steal, not the house I'd sold, not even the justice we'd won in court. This, family, home, second chances. I'd survived 25 years as a widow, built a life on my own, proved I didn't need anyone. But maybe, just maybe, I was wrong. Maybe we all need someone. And maybe that's not weakness. Maybe that's just being human. Tyler slid a plate in front of me. Extra bacon, just how you like it. I smiled. Thanks, sweetheart. Kevin looked up from his paper. Big plans today, Mom? Actually, yes. I'm going to call a contractor about finally getting that guest bathroom redone. If I'm staying permanently, I might as well make it nice. You're really staying? Sophia's voice was small, hopeful. Really staying, I confirmed. If you'll have me. Forever, Tyler said. Forever, Sophia echoed. Kevin just smiled. Outside, spring was coming. Inside, we were already home. And Lauren? Lauren was in prison, facing 7 years of consequences for choices she'd made. I didn't feel sorry for her, but I didn't hate her either. She'd tried to destroy us. Instead, she'd made us stronger. And sometimes, that's the best revenge of all. 3 months after Lauren's sentencing, I thought we'd finally moved past the worst of it. Tyler had graduated high school with honors and was packing for Penn State. Sophia had made new friends on the volleyball team. Kevin's business was actually turning a profit. Then Derek showed up at our door. I was the only one home that Tuesday afternoon. Kevin was at a job site, the kids were at school. I'd been sorting through old photo albums, deciding which memories were worth keeping, and which ones featured Lauren's fake smile too prominently. The doorbell rang. I opened it without checking the peephole. First mistake. Derek stood on the porch, 28 years old and clearly not handling prison-adjacent life well. He'd lost the gym rat physique. His eyes were bloodshot, his clothes wrinkled. Mrs. Morrison, I need to talk to you. We have nothing to discuss. I started to close the door. He stuck his foot in the gap. Please, 5 minutes. It's about Lauren. Something in his voice made me pause, not threatening, desperate. Against my better judgment, I let him in. But I kept my phone in my hand, finger hovering over 911. We sat in the living room. He perched on the edge of Kevin's recliner like he might bolt any second. What do you want, Derek? I need you to know I didn't know. About the fraud, the forged documents, any of it. Lauren told me you were this rich old lady who wanted to help her kids. She said you'd agreed to everything. And you believed her? I wanted to believe her. He looked at his hands. She was beautiful and exciting, and she made me feel like I mattered. I was just some personal trainer who couldn't afford his own apartment. She was this successful businesswoman with money and confidence, and... He stopped. I was an idiot. Yes, you were. He almost smiled. The FBI questioned me for 3 days. They went through every gift she gave me, every dinner we had, every text message. They wanted to prove I was part of it. Were you? No. But I should have asked more questions. I should have wondered why a married woman with 2 kids was buying me $1,000 watches and taking me to 5-star hotels. We sat in silence for a moment. Why are you here, Derek? He pulled an envelope from his jacket. Because I've been going to therapy. working through my part in this mess. And my therapist said I needed to make amends to the people I hurt, even if I didn't mean to hurt them. He held out the envelope. What is this? $17,000. Everything I could scrape together from selling the stuff Lauren bought me, plus my savings. It's not nearly enough to make up for what she tried to take from you, but it's something. I stared at the envelope. I can't accept this. Please, I need to do this. I need to know I tried to make things right. Derek, she's writing me letters from prison. Did you know that? Telling me how we're going to be together when she gets out. How she's going to appeal the sentence and blame everything on you. How once she's free, we'll run away together like we planned. My blood went cold. What? I'm not responding. I blocked her, but she keeps finding ways to contact me. And Mrs. Morrison, I think she's planning something. Like what? I don't know, but she's obsessed. She talks about you constantly, about how you ruined her life, took her kids, destroyed her future. He searched for the word. She's not stable. I thought about Lauren at the sentencing. The way she'd screamed at me, blamed me for everything. The pure hatred in her eyes. I'll call the detective who worked the case, I said slowly. They need to know she's still fixating. Thank you. Derek stood. And please, take the money. Or donate it. I don't care. I just need to know I tried. I took the envelope. Not because I wanted it, but because he clearly needed me to. After he left, I called Detective Morrison, the one who'd investigated Lauren's fraud. She listened carefully. We'll look into it. Prison mail is monitored, but if she's finding other ways to contact him, that's concerning. I'll talk to the prison administration. Should I be worried? Honestly, probably not. Most criminals make threats they never follow through on. But I'd recommend updating your security system. Maybe add cameras at the doors. That night, when Kevin came home, I told him everything. He went pale. She's threatening you from prison? She's fixating. There's a difference. Mom, this is serious. I know. That's why I called the detective, and why we're getting cameras installed tomorrow. Tyler had been listening from the kitchen doorway. This is insane. Can't they add time to her sentence for threatening people? Only if she makes specific, actionable threats. Right now, it's just ranting in letters. But I was more worried than I let on. Because I knew Lauren. And Lauren didn't make empty threats. She'd spent months planning to steal from me, forge my signature, put me in a nursing home. She was patient. Calculating. Dangerous. 7 years suddenly felt like a very short time. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked like an intruder. By morning, I'd made a decision. If Lauren wanted a war, I'd give her one. But this time, I'd strike first. I spent the next week planning. Not revenge. I wasn't interested in stooping to Lauren's level. But protection. Making sure that when she got out in 7 years, she'd have nothing to come back to. First stop, Richard's daughter's office. Mrs. Morrison, what can I do for you? I need to make sure Lauren can never contact my grandchildren again, even after she's out of prison. The restraining order already covers that. For 5 years after her release. What happens after that? She flipped through files. After the probation period ends, technically she could petition for supervised visitation with the children. No. My voice came out harder than I intended. Absolutely not. Mrs. Morrison, she tried to put me in a nursing home to steal my money. She forged legal documents. She abandoned her children for a man half her age. You think I'm letting her anywhere near Tyler and Sophia? It's not up to you. Legally, she's still their mother. Then we changed the legalities. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared. Kevin is filing for termination of parental rights. I have documentation of abandonment, emotional abuse, and her conviction for fraud. She left them. She chose money over her children. That's grounds for termination. She studied the documents. This is thorough. Have you discussed this with Kevin? Not yet, but he'll agree. And the children? Tyler turns 18 next month. He can speak for himself. Sophia is 14, old enough for the judge to consider her wishes. And I can tell you right now, neither of them wants to see their mother. Okay. She made notes. I'll prepare the paperwork. But Mrs. Morrison, this is a serious step. Once parental rights are terminated, there's no undoing it. Good. Because I don't want her to have the option of coming back into their lives and disrupting everything they've rebuilt. Second stop. The prison. I didn't tell anyone I was going. Not Kevin, not Gloria, not the kids. Just got in my car and drove the hour and a half to the state correctional facility where Lauren was serving her sentence. The visiting process was dehumanizing. Searches, forms, waiting rooms that smelled like disinfectant and despair. But I endured it because I needed to see her. Needed to look her in the eye and understand what I was really dealing with. They brought her out in orange scrubs, her hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked older, harder. Nothing like the woman who'd smiled over Thanksgiving dinner. She saw me through the plexiglass and her face went through several emotions. Surprise, anger, then something that looked almost like hope. She picked up the phone. I picked up mine. Pat, I didn't expect... I'm here to make something very clear to you, Lauren. You're going to stop contacting Derek. You're going to stop writing letters about me. You're going to accept your sentence quietly and serve your time without making threats. Her eyes narrowed. Or what? Or I'll make sure that when you get out, you have nothing. No custody rights, no contact with Tyler or Sophia, no ability to be part of their lives ever again. You can't do that. I can, and I will. Kevin is filing for termination of parental rights. Both kids support it. By the time you're released, you'll be legally nobody to them. Her face crumpled. You can't take my children from me. You took them from yourself when you chose gambling and affairs and fraud over being their mother. I made mistakes. You made choices. Calculated, deliberate choices. And now you're facing the consequences. I leaned closer to the plexiglass. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to serve your 7 years. You're going to go to therapy, get clean from whatever gambling addiction you have, and rebuild yourself into a functional human being. And maybe, in 15 or 20 years, when Tyler and Sophia are adults who can make their own decisions, they'll choose to have a relationship with you. But that's their choice, not yours. They're my children. They were your children. You gave that up when you forged my signature and tried to steal from me. I stood up. Goodbye, Lauren. I hope prison gives you time to think about what you've done. I hung up the phone and walked out. Behind me, I heard her screaming. Couldn't make out the words through the glass, but I didn't need to. I'd said what I needed to say. The rest was up to her. That evening, I told Kevin everything. About Derek's visit. About the letters. About my trip to the prison. He was quiet for a long time. Mom, you shouldn't have gone there alone. I needed to do it. I needed her to understand that she doesn't get to terrorize us from prison. What if she tries something when she gets out? Then we'll deal with it. But Kevin, I'm not spending the next 7 years living in fear. I'm spending them living. Building a life with you and the kids. Making sure that when she's released, we're so strong as a family that nothing she does can touch us. He nodded slowly. The termination of parental rights. You really think that's the right move? I think it's the necessary move. Tyler and Sophia need to know they're safe, that she can't come back and disrupt everything. They need stability, not the threat of their mother showing up someday demanding to be part of their lives again. Okay. He took a breath. Okay, let's do it. 3 weeks later, we sat in a different courtroom. Tyler beside me, 18 now, legally an adult. Sophia on Kevin's other side, nervous but determined. The judge was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Mr. Morrison, you're petitioning for termination of your ex-wife's parental rights. That's a serious request. I understand, Your Honor. But Lauren Morrison abandoned our children. She's currently serving 7 years for fraud and elder abuse. She tried to steal from my mother and put her in a nursing home. She had an affair. She gambled away our savings, and she's shown no remorse or interest in maintaining a relationship with our children. Miss Morrison, the judge looked at Sophia. You're 14, old enough to understand what this means. Do you want your mother to lose her parental rights? Sophia's voice was small but steady. Yes, Your Honor. Why? Because she chose money over us. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering when she's going to show up and hurt Grandma again. The judge nodded. Mr. Morrison, Tyler, is it? Yes, ma'am. You're an adult now. You can speak on your own behalf. What's your position? I love my mom, or I loved who I thought she was. But the woman in prison isn't someone I know. And I don't think I want to know her. She tried to hurt my grandma, the person who's been there for us through everything. I can't forgive that. The judge made notes, looked at the evidence, at the conviction records, the fraud documentation, the abandonment timeline. Based on the evidence presented and the statements from both minor and adult children, I'm granting the petition. Lauren Morrison's parental rights are hereby terminated. She will have no legal claim to custody, visitation, or contact with Tyler or Sophia Morrison. The gavel came down. Sophia burst into tears. Tyler put his arm around her. And I sat there, feeling like I'd just won the most important battle of my life. Not for me, but for my grandchildren. Tyler left for Penn State in late August. The house felt empty without him. Quieter, like part of our family had been packed into boxes and driven 3 hours away. Sophia took it harder than I expected. She'd always been the quiet one, the one who kept her feelings close. But the night after Tyler left, I found her crying in her room. Hey, sweetheart, what's wrong? Everyone leaves. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. Mom left. Tyler left. What if Dad leaves? What if you leave? I sat on her bed and pulled her close. Tyler didn't leave. He went to college. He'll be home for holidays and summer. And your dad and I aren't going anywhere. Promise? Promise. I kissed the top of her head. You're stuck with me, kid. Even when you don't want me around. She laughed through her tears. I always want you around, Grandma. Life settled into a new rhythm. Kevin worked long hours, but came home for dinner. Sophia had volleyball practice 3 days a week. I handled the cooking, the cleaning, the million small things that keep a household running. And slowly, quietly, we healed. Gloria came over one Saturday in September. We sat on the back porch drinking coffee, watching autumn leaves drift down from the oak tree Daniel and I had planted 30 years ago. You look different, she observed. How so? Settled, like you finally stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. She was right. For months after Lauren's arrest, I'd been tense, waiting for something else to go wrong, for Derek to show up again, for Lauren to find some new way to cause problems. But nothing happened. Prison mail was monitored, the restraining order held. Derek had moved to California and changed his number. We were safe. I'm thinking about going back to work, I said suddenly. Work? You're 67 years old. So? I'm bored. The house practically runs itself. Sophia's at school all day. Kevin doesn't need me hovering. I need something to do. Like what? I don't know. Maybe volunteer work, or part-time at the library. Something that gets me out of the house and using my brain for more than crossword puzzles. Gloria smiled. I think that's a great idea. My sister volunteers at the senior center downtown. They're always looking for people to teach classes or organize events. Maybe I'll look into it. By October, I was teaching a financial literacy class at the senior center twice a week, protecting yourself from financial fraud, drawing on my own experiences to help other elderly people recognize the warning signs of exploitation. The first class had 12 people. By the third week, we had 30. Turns out my story wasn't unique. Half the people in that room had experienced some form of financial abuse from family members. Adult children who borrowed money and never paid it back. Grandchildren who needed help that turned into thousands of dollars in charges. In-laws who manipulated and stole. One woman, Martha, 73, broke down during the Q&A session. My son forged my name on a reverse mortgage. I didn't even know until the bank sent foreclosure papers. I'm going to lose my house. I gave her Richard's daughter's card. Call her, today. There are legal remedies for this. After class, Martha hugged me. Thank you. I've been so scared, and everyone kept telling me I should just let it go because he's family. But you're right. Family doesn't get a free pass to steal. Driving home that night, I realized something. Lauren hadn't just tried to destroy me. She'd inadvertently given me purpose. I'd spent 25 years as a widow, focused on surviving, protecting my independence, managing my money. But I'd been missing something. Community, connection, the ability to use my experiences to help others. Now I had all of that, and it felt good. Thanksgiving rolled around again. 1 year since the incident that started everything. Kevin suggested we go out to dinner, avoid the bad memories, but I had a better idea. Let's have it here, just the 4 of us, make new memories. Tyler came home from school. Sophia invited her new best friend, a girl named Emma, whose mother had recently died. Kevin's business partner, a nice guy named Marcus, no relation to my investigator, joined us too. His family was in Oregon, and he couldn't afford to fly home. We cooked together, turkey and stuffing and 3 kinds of pie. The kitchen was chaotic and messy, and absolutely perfect. Before we ate, Kevin raised his glass. I want to make a toast to Mom, for protecting us, for staying with us, for turning what could have been the worst year of our lives into something actually good. To Grandma, Tyler said. To Grandma, Sophia echoed. We clinked glasses. And for the first time in a year, I felt truly, completely at peace. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat in the living room with a cup of tea, looking at the photo albums I'd been avoiding all year. There was one of Lauren at Tyler's kindergarten graduation. She'd looked so happy, so proud. Had that been real? Or had I just seen what I wanted to see? I'd never know for sure. But it didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that we'd survived. We'd rebuilt. We'd created something stronger than what we'd had before. Lauren had tried to tear us apart. Instead, she'd brought us together. Funny how life works sometimes. Chapter 10. It was April when everything changed again. Almost a year and a half since that midnight note from Tyler. Almost a year since Lauren's sentencing. I'd just gotten home from teaching my financial literacy class when Kevin called. Mom, you need to sit down. My heart sank. Nothing good ever started with, you need to sit down. What happened? Lauren's lawyer called. She's appealing her sentence. She claims new evidence proves she was coerced by Sylvia Chen and that she's actually a victim of the fraud scheme, not a perpetrator. I sat down. That's ridiculous. I know, but her lawyer is apparently very good. And they're claiming that because Sylvia Chen's case is under appeal too, there's reasonable doubt about Lauren's involvement. Kevin, I was there. I saw the documents. I heard her threaten me in the courtroom. She's not a victim. I know, Mom, but... He hesitated. There's more. She's also filing a motion to reverse the termination of parental rights. She's claiming she was mentally unwell at the time and that she's undergone extensive therapy in prison. She wants supervised visitation with Tyler and Sophia. The room spun. Over my dead body. That's what I said. But the lawyer thinks she might have a case. The prison psychologist apparently wrote a letter saying she's shown significant progress and remorse. She hasn't shown remorse. She's shown manipulation. That's what she does, Kevin. She manipulates. I know. But we need to prepare for the possibility that she might win at least part of this. I hung up and immediately called Richard's daughter. I need you to fight this, whatever it takes. Mrs. Morrison, I'll do everything I can. But you need to understand, appeals happen, and sometimes they succeed. We need to be prepared for every outcome. The outcome where she gets out early and comes after my family again? That outcome? Unfortunately, yes. I called Gloria next. She came over within the hour, bringing wine and righteous anger. That woman never stops, does she? Apparently not. I showed her the court documents Kevin had emailed. Look at this. She's claiming she was under duress, that Sylvia Chen threatened her family if she didn't go along with the fraud. That's garbage. Sylvia was running the scheme, but Lauren was a willing participant. We have emails proving that. Her lawyer is arguing the emails were fabricated. By whom? The FBI? Apparently they're implying I might have faked them. I laughed bitterly. Because I'm a criminal mastermind who knows how to fabricate digital evidence that would fool federal investigators. Gloria grabbed my hand. We're not letting her win. Whatever it takes, we're fighting this. The appeal hearing was scheduled for June. 2 months away. 2 months of not sleeping, constantly worrying, watching my grandchildren pretend they weren't terrified their mother might come back. Then, 3 weeks before the hearing, I got a call from Marcus Webb, my investigator. Mrs. Morrison, I found something you need to see. What kind of something? The kind that proves Lauren Morrison is exactly as guilty as we thought. Can you meet me tomorrow? We met at the same coffee shop where we'd first talked 18 months ago. He slid a folder across the table. What is this? Derek's therapy records. His therapist contacted me after seeing news about Lauren's appeal. She said Derek had been keeping detailed journals of his relationship with Lauren, including conversations where Lauren explicitly discussed the fraud scheme. Wait, Derek knew? Not at first, but by the end? Yeah, he knew. And he documented it because he was planning to blackmail her if things went south. I opened the folder. Page after page of Derek's handwriting, recounting conversations. Lauren said her mother-in-law has $400K just sitting there, not doing anything useful. She said if we could just get power of attorney, we could solve all our problems. She showed me the forged signature today, said it was perfect that no one would ever know. Lauren's worried the old lady is catching on. She talked about maybe just putting her in the home sooner, before she can cause problems. Evidence. Solid, documented, irrefutable evidence that Lauren had planned everything deliberately. Derek gave you these? His therapist did. Derek died 3 months ago. Drug overdose. She felt he'd want the truth to come out. My hand went to my chest. He's dead? Lauren destroyed him too. He was so guilt-ridden about everything that he couldn't handle it. The therapist said he talked about you in their sessions, about how you'd been kind to him when he came to apologize, how he wished he'd been brave enough to testify against Lauren originally. I stared at the journals. This 28-year-old kid who'd made stupid choices and paid for them with his life. Can we use these in court? Already sent copies to the prosecutor and your lawyer. This kills her appeal. There's no way a judge lets her claim she was coerced when we have detailed documentation proving she was the architect of the whole thing. The hearing happened on a Thursday in June. I sat in the same courtroom where Lauren had been sentenced, holding the same hand of my son, feeling like I was living through a nightmare on repeat. But this time was different. This time, we had Derek's journals. The prosecutor stood and addressed the judge. Your Honor, we'd like to submit new evidence that directly contradicts the appellant's claims of coercion. He presented Derek's journals. Lauren's lawyer objected, but the judge allowed them. As the prosecutor read excerpts aloud, I watched Lauren's face go through several emotions. Shock, fear, then resignation. She knew she'd lost. Based on this evidence, the judge said after both sides had presented arguments, I'm denying the appeal. The defendant's conviction stands. Furthermore, given this evidence of premeditation and lack of genuine remorse, I'm denying the motion to reverse termination of parental rights. Ms. Morrison will serve her full sentence with no modifications. The gavel came down. Kevin let out a breath he'd been holding for months. As they led Lauren out, she looked at me one last time. This isn't over, she mouthed. But it was. It really, finally was. 2 years after that midnight note from Tyler, life had transformed in ways I never could have imagined. Tyler graduated from Penn State with honors, got a job with a construction firm in Philadelphia, and came home every other weekend. He'd even started dating a sweet girl named Rebecca. No relation to any of the drama, thank God. Sophia was thriving. Junior year of high school, captain of the volleyball team, talking about colleges. She wanted to study social work, help people who'd been through trauma like she had. Kevin's business had expanded. He'd taken on 2 new partners, landed a contract renovating an entire historic district downtown. The $85,000 I'd loaned him 5 years ago, he'd paid it back in full, with interest, even though I'd told him not to. "You earned it," I'd said when he handed me the check. "No, Mom, you earned it." By believing in me even when I didn't deserve it. And me? I'd found something I never knew I was looking for. My financial literacy class had expanded to 3 days a week. I'd helped 12 people take legal action against family members who'd committed fraud. I'd stopped 2 nursing home schemes before they got off the ground. I'd become something of a local expert on elder abuse prevention. The local news even did a story about me. Widow turns personal tragedy into mission to protect seniors. It was embarrassing and wonderful all at once. Lauren would be eligible for parole in 5 years. Her earliest release date would be summer 2030. By then, Tyler would be 25. Sophia would be 21. Both adults, capable of making their own choices about whether to have a relationship with their mother. I didn't know what they'd decide. That was up to them. But I knew they'd be strong enough to handle whatever came. One Saturday in October, 3 years after everything started, I was teaching a workshop at the senior center when an elderly man approached me after class. "Mrs. Morrison, I just wanted to thank you. My daughter was trying to get power of attorney last year. Said I wasn't capable of managing my finances anymore. I came to one of your classes, and you helped me understand what she was really trying to do." What happened? I confronted her. She admitted she'd run up credit card debt and thought my savings could solve her problems. We're in counseling now, trying to rebuild trust. But if I hadn't come to your class, I'd probably be in a nursing home by now, wondering where all my money went. These conversations happened weekly now. People who'd been saved from the same fate I'd almost suffered. It made everything worth it. The fear, the betrayal, the endless court dates and legal battles. Because Lauren had tried to make me a victim. Instead, she'd turned me into a survivor who could help others survive too. That Thanksgiving, we had our biggest gathering yet. Tyler and Rebecca, Sophia and 3 of her friends, Kevin's business partners and their families, Gloria and half the people from my Tuesday morning class. 23 people crammed into Kevin's house, eating turkey and pie and laughing like we'd never known darkness. Before dinner, Tyler stood up. "I want to make a toast. 3 years ago, everything fell apart. Mom was in jail. Dad was a mess. Sophia and I thought our lives were over, but Grandma..." His voice caught. "Grandma saved us. Not just from Mom's scheme, but from giving up. From thinking we couldn't survive this. She showed us what real strength looks like. What real family means." Everyone raised their glasses. "To Pat Morrison," Tyler said. "The toughest woman I know." "To Grandma!" everyone shouted. I felt tears on my cheeks, but I didn't care. Later, after most people had left and the kitchen was clean, I stood on the back porch with Gloria. The November air was cold, the stars bright overhead. "You did good, Pat. We did good. I couldn't have survived this without you." "Sure you could have. You're the strongest person I know." "I'm not strong. I'm just stubborn." She laughed. Same thing. We stood in comfortable silence, watching our breath fog in the cold air. "You ever wonder what your life would look like if Lauren hadn't tried what she tried?" Gloria asked. I thought about it. I'd probably still be alone in that house on Maple Street. Painting rooms nobody sees. Eating dinner for one. Slowly fading into irrelevance. "You think she did you a favor?" "No. She tried to destroy me. But what she actually did was wake me up. Remind me that I'm not done living yet. That I have value beyond my bank account." I smiled. "So in a weird way, I guess I should thank her." "Don't you dare." "I won't, but I'll think it sometimes." Inside, I could hear Sophia laughing at something Kevin said. Tyler and Rebecca were playing cards with some of Sophia's friends. The house was full of life and noise and chaos. My house now, too, not Kevin's. Not the guest suite where I was staying temporarily. Home. 6 months ago, I'd finally made it official. Sold the last of my furniture from Maple Street, moved everything into Kevin's basement permanently, updated my driver's license to this address. I was home. And Lauren? Lauren was in prison, with 2 more years before she'd even be eligible for parole. By then I'd be 71. Tyler would be 24. Sophia would be 20. We'd be fine. Better than fine. We'd be a family that survived the worst and came out stronger. That night, lying in bed in my basement suite, my home, I thought about Daniel, about what he'd think of everything that had happened. He'd be proud, I decided. Proud that I'd fought back. Proud that I'd protected our son and grandchildren. Proud that I'd turned tragedy into purpose. "We made it, Daniel," I whispered into the dark. "We made it through." Somewhere in the house, Sophia laughed. Tyler's footsteps creaked on the floor above. Kevin called goodnight to everyone. My family, imperfect, scarred, but ours. Lauren had tried to take everything from us. Instead, she'd given us exactly what we needed, each other. And that, in the end, was worth more than all the money in the world. The story that started with a midnight warning from a terrified grandson had ended with a family stronger than ever. Lauren had meant to destroy us. Instead, she'd rebuilt us. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us become the catalyst for the best things in our lives. I'd learned that the hard way, but I'd learned it well. And now, every Tuesday and Thursday at the senior center, I taught others the same lesson. You're stronger than you think. You deserve better than you're getting. And family, real family, doesn't steal from you. Real family saves you. The way Tyler saved me with that note 3 years ago. The way I'd saved him, and Sophia, and Kevin by fighting back. The way we'd all saved each other by refusing to give up. That was my story, and I was proud of every chapter.